Hi, this reading is for anybody who tends to interfere in other people's businesses, or perhaps you might even find that you are the person that is being interfered with in terms of advice, unsolicited advice. And it is based from the YouTube vlog number 3. Is his girlfriend too young for him? Is what Mary Sutherland wrote in and asked me. So I'm here to give the answer through the cards, the oracle cards, and we shall see what the cards would like to impart. And I've already shuffled them with a question in mind, and I have also asked for the guidance for Spirit to guide Mary and anybody else watching this to be guided with whatever words of wisdom, advice, spiritual healing, and anything that would enhance one's personality and development to help with one of these kind of issues. Okay, because we all tend to do that, and we can all tend to interfere in places, particularly in partnerships and with our children, even when they're grown adults. Some people can't really just help always tell somebody what to do. So I'm just going to get quiet for a moment and refocus, and if you can just bear with me. Okay, this deck of cards is pulling me, and I've already shuffled it, but I'm just going to give it another shuffle. And we'll just see what the cards want to say and what wants to reveal. This is a Sacred Rebel deck by Alana Fairchild. And we'll see what the Sacred Rebel advice would be for Mary or anybody who has a tendency to get involved, overstretch themselves. Let's have a look. Okay, interesting. Okay, the first card I pulled out here is She Feels, She Knows. All right. Now, with this card, I have a feeling in some ways it is as if you feel something and you kind of feel that you actually think you know. On a deeper issue, that could be not the case, and perhaps what you really need to do is develop your third eye, which you can sort of see from the element of the peacock, that a state of inner wisdom and intuition will help develop your sense of timing, perhaps, and maybe come with maybe what you might think you feel, or what you might feel, you know. Okay, this one wants to come up. Okay, here we are. This, the first card is the card of control. Don't know if you can see it. Let's have a look. All right. So this is very much the key issue here of somebody being controlled, and it's a form, control is a form of, in fact, when you're kind of scared, I guess, you know, people tend to control people because you're afraid. And we have this little image of somebody actually pulling somebody almost like on a dog leash, and this is what I really feel Mary's doing as well, you know, telling somebody, or son, that somebody, you can't be going out with somebody, or you can't have a relationship with somebody, is really a form of control, often passed down by other members of the family as well. So Mary could have been affected and had controlling parents, which could be very, very likely. So I'm just going to see if this deck actually wants to reveal any more other cards right now regarding this issue, this one as well. All right, okay. Perhaps maybe a really nice way to heal this issue, which I also think is really lovely, is we have somebody here with a key, handing it to the other person. It's a card of truth, okay? You know, perhaps, Mary, you can speak to your son and make an offering of perhaps why and what it is that you feel anxious about. You haven't informed me actually in your letter, or anybody for that matter, whether, you know, that you've spoken to your son about this, but it's something that you're just very concerned with. Nothing reveals to me that you've had a conversation with him, but sometimes actually coming from a place of truth from your heart really helps to actually reveal, saying, look, I love you so much that I really feel uncomfortable to see you hurt, and I'm not quite sure if this girl's the right girl for you, but I trust that you also have the wisdom and your own ability to be able to make that decision yourself. You know, it's really important that you surround yourself with also, you know, some things that could also nurture your relationship with your son. Perhaps go to do things together that will allow for that relating to happen in a very positive way. All right, I'm just going to do another one, I guess. Okay, the danger is if you continue, I've just pulled a card that kind of really stuck to my finger there, is that, you know, by creating a problem, you will actually end up splitting the situation, perhaps even interfering so much so that maybe your intention without you even realizing is you want to cause a problem where he will split up with her. But more importantly, it could possibly actually split you and your son further apart, which I can really reassure you is not what you want. Okay. You know, sometimes also offering the truth can actually cause problems, because it really is about what you think and what you feel is right for you as opposed to what's actually right for the other person. Or perhaps as a mother, you have the ability to know something already, which is, you know, very important. And but it is also really important that you allow your son to make the mistakes, create his own journey or problems so he can learn from them. You know, sometimes we can be overprotective and not allow anybody to actually learn from the mistakes. And the hardest thing is to stand back and see somebody make the mistake. All right. So is there any other clarification card? Any card here that will help to resolve this problem for Mary? Okay, for this one's coming. Yeah, lovely. All right. Okay, so really I feel here what I can really tell you about this is that there is some definite control issue, which is very, very key in this case. And I think in some way your truthful speaking is going to cause a problem down the line. And if you're not careful, it's actually going to split you both apart. You know, so I feel in some way you've really got to make a commitment, you know, allow your son to make the commitment to himself and also to his girlfriend, because we don't know what path is available. Really, it could be, you know, a rainbow at the end of the path. And for you as well, you know, this is a double whammy. I've got here a card of commitment, and I'm looking at it and reading it as an opportunity for you to walk down the road of trust and allowing your son to make his own commitment, and you committing yourself to honor your son's decision and allowing that healing to happen without you having to control. You've got two healing cards here, which are really, really nice. You've got the truth, which is one of the elements to also allowing, you know, it to heal. Maybe you know the truth is that you really can't allow yourself to interfere. Despite the fact that you're making an offering of some kind, I think it's really important that you allow somebody able to access their own inner truth as well, which is in your case your son, who is 26 years old. I do feel that if you interfere too much, you'll definitely create a problem between you and him. Or, you know, if you're over manipulative or overthinking things, you could end up creating a problem for him and his girlfriend, which is something you don't really want to have happen. Yeah, this is the card we got earlier, and it could be that, you know, you might have some feeling about something and you know about something, but, you know, at times like this it's really important that you relinquish the control, because it's just not your right, basically. You know, we somehow think it's our mother's right, but unfortunately our mother doesn't have that kind of right. Now I've got two chakra cards that's fallen out. One is a root chakra card here, which is one of the chakras I did point out in the YouTube. And there's a little mantra here for you that or an affirmation that I will read out in a minute. And we also got the sixth chakra, which is also the other chakra. See if you can see it. Okay, very interesting. This one I love. It says here in the sixth chakra, I let go of the things that give me little fulfillment so that there is space for my happiness in my life. Now, what happens is also when we interfere in other people's business or over put our commentary or just get over concerned about other people's what they're doing, you actually leave very little room for your own personal fulfillment and happiness in your life. And it's as if you're trying to make up for the lack of happiness in your life, Mary, that you are finding or attempting to find fulfillment and in fact creating problems for yourself and others around you, instead of actually allowing yourself to have the space for you to really enjoy your life. You know, you've done your mothering, you've done your child rearing. He's a young man now at 26, and it is maybe possibly time for you to have some happiness in your life. And sometimes when we are afraid to let go of someone, it could be a sibling, it could be a past relationship, or anybody really, it means that we are not allowing something new or a new sense of occupation, a new sense of pastime to enter. So this will really help you by working on the sixth chakra as well, really allow you to attune to maybe what your next step could be. All right, it's really good. Now, also, what was interesting about your first chakra card that fell out for you, the affirmation and the positive suggestion here for your personality. It says, I lovingly fight for my right to live. Okay, I lovingly fight for my right to live. Here, I would say also, in relation to the question or your problem, I would say that in some way, you are lovingly fighting, or perhaps not so, for, again, another person's concern rather than your right to live for yourself. This is quite similar to what this card actually is suggesting in some way for me. You know, you have a right to have your own life. But when we get too over-involved in other people's lives, we seem to put ourselves on hold. And maybe somewhere along the way in your child development, you weren't allowed to have or do the things that you wanted to do. Or perhaps at some point in life, you had to give up what you really wanted to do or love to do. It is quite common for a lot of women to put their creativity on hold as well, or a financial form of earning an income, because children have come along the way and they've become the main child parent or the carers of the children. And or also I feel with the root chakra, because it's to do with tribal or very old belief systems that you have you stuck. All right, what's interesting about this card is, it works for me in two ways. Now, while these messages can be quite confusing and conflicting, it is because that is sometimes how the messages come across. You might actually feel something, but maybe that's inherently not true. And I think followed by the control card, I feel in some way that you might feel that or that you might actually already know through the wisdom of your own maturity and your development, to see that your son perhaps is going to be making an error down the line, or find himself in a situation. But it is still his life, and that is something that you need to hold firm in yourself and allow him to experience what he doesn't know and that he might need to learn. So this is really important. When we love some people in our lives, we tend to overwork ourselves for them rather than, loving them in the way that they can actually support their own growth and development. So perhaps the question you need to ask yourself, how can I actually be there for my son and allow him to be what he needs to be and do what he needs to do and learn what he needs to do. Okay, we've got these two cards ticked off. Okay, if I were you, I'd just get on with the business of very normal things. Just allow yourself to get into the very simple routine of your basic home lives to get yourself out of, and really release the this is interesting as well. Release, I love this card as well because it can mean so many things, but I release, this is to do with time, sort of being released, and they both came upside down actually. So maybe releasing the whole essence about age and about time. Time is actually a man-made concept, all right? In a holographic universe or in a different dimension, time is doesn't really exist. It only exists in the structural sense that we need time. But age or all that is just some kind of myth, really. In some way, you just really want to brush it aside and let that go, because it hasn't got any bearing. And it actually also really is a very old thought form of thinking that certain age numbers don't actually correlate to the here and now. Okay, so in some way, I would also say that this card suggests, interestingly, these are the cards of suggestion, to just get on with your ordinary life, whatever that looks like, you know. So go out and go out for a walk, do something nice, chop wood. This is chop wood and carry water, you know. Engage in some very mundane tasks that are very ordinary, in a way for you to kind of allow your thoughts to come through out of yourself and not actually project it inward. You know, doing some kind of meditation or some kind of basic work, washing even, you know, you can just allow yourself to breathe in and breathe out and be really focused on the actual task at hand. Gardening will give you that as well. All right, being out in nature, I think, will also nourish you, as well as being near water, particularly, you know, getting things in order and allowing things to come in line, because you have such a sense of what I'm picking up is you have a sense of having to have everything as it is. So this is like, you know, she can't be going out with him because she's 20 years old and he's 26. And this is somebody who likes to control things and have to get everything in what they expect it to be. All right. And unfortunately, life does not work that way. It is far more chaotic, okay, far more unexpected, and far more, you know, and often we are challenged with the very thing that we actually are so rigid about. I'm just trying to see if I can give you any more counsel really on this chop wood. For some reason, my mind is not working as well as some other time. So yeah, so being grounded in everyday experience. I mean, that says it really beautifully. And having some humility, you know, that you don't actually know everything, and it's impossible for you to know what's right and what's not right for your son. So I think this is also goes for everyone. You know, we all tend to think we know better. We all tend to you know, give unsolicited advice, and feel really affronted if somebody doesn't take it. Make sure that if your son hasn't come up to you and sort of said, "Mum, what do you think?" and you're just deciding to put your aura in about her age and what you think and whether she's immature or all that, you know, and whatever the issue is, quite frankly, it's a form of control, and it's a form of not allowing somebody to actually really learn from the experience. There are ways of communicating that might help, you know, to make some suggestions. But I would quite frankly, Mary, tell you that this is an opportunity for you to really start loving yourself, for you to start living your life in the way you would really like to have, as well as, you know, creating space, which is really what's happening for you to start going down a path where you're maybe looking at yourself and what you can do in your life, rather than get over involved. I'm just going to see if this card wants to tell me anything else. Okay, no. So, all right, so this is the last card here. This is one I'd really like to give you as perhaps a card for you to benefit from another affirmation and go out in nature, which I think would be also very healing for you. You may or may not spend much time in nature already, Mary, or anyone, but here we are. Beauty. Okay. Yes, I find that in some way that I think it's really time for you. I mean, particularly this time of the year now, where there's lots of cherry blossoms around. All right, it is really important for you to actually embrace yourself around beauty and find your own task in life. You know, it is time for you to let go of your son, and that is where the solar plexus cutting the cord meditation would be to do with this. And for you to be able to develop a new sense of creativity, passion, and finding beauty within your own self as well as perhaps externally. All right, so this is a really nice guidance here. And I would also take yourself, since there are abundance of cherry blossoms out at the moment, and perhaps sit underneath it and just look at the beauty of the petals and notice all its colors in one single petal and see what you can possibly find. And I will tell you here now, just quickly share with you what this affirmation also informs you. I see beauty all around me and know it is a reflection of beauty within. And when I see beauty, I see through the eyes of God. And also I feel that what I'm getting here is when you really experience life this way, you also maybe perhaps will have the eyes to see what your son is doing through the eyes of beauty. The eyes of kindness and the eyes of love, rather than one of being critical or over controlling. I mean, what's interesting in this card, you can see her eyes are quite badly bruised here. And in fact, it's as if you're projecting your own vision that is negative. Yes, and this is actually finishing on the note of how can I see life through the eyes of God and see the eyes of beauty. And I think for me, anyhow, when we are immersed in beauty out in nature, there's something so touching and so awakening and alive and vibrant about it that we start seeing life through those lenses. We start seeing life, even some of the more uglier scenes or maybe less beautiful moments, that we can still see the beauty in it, rather than being from a critical eye. And it's really important. Is there anything else I would like to add to that? So interestingly, it says here, okay, take time to see the beauty around you and know that it echoes within. Notice the ways in which you create beauty in your surroundings. Is your home a haven for yourself, your family and your friends? Celebrate your outer beauty as well. Pamper yourself, enjoy playing with the external appearance, and see it as an affirmation of the eternal beauty within you. Notice the beauty in everything around us helps us to participate more fully in life and reaffirms our connection to the divine, which also brings me to this. And, the third eye chakra also is to do with vision. Yes, so when we start working with our third eye, we have a stronger vision, we have a stronger capacity to be able to see life through as it is and see the beauty and the vibrancy of life altogether. And perhaps also, here, that by creating the opportunity for you to have beauty, more beauty in your life, you will find the beauty within the circumstances of your son going out with this younger girl and find it beautiful. Nevertheless, in the process of him falling in love and being smitten to be exactly where he needs to be and embrace the beauty of it. So I am going to end the card reading here. I feel that this has somewhat clarified a few things. So just to summarize, don't feel for anybody watching as well that we tend to think that we know everything, or we might feel something and we think we know something, but sometimes our feelings are actually wrong. There could be our own inner wounding that's being projected out, or what we think it should be and stuff, and we're all guilty of that. And I have to say, I can be very included in that myself. And what happens with that is we tend to end up wanting to control somebody and insist that they do it this way or go that way, or they can't be doing this or they can't be doing that. So let's be mindful. We can be a parent, we can be a friend, but unless it's asked for, anything outside of those parameters becomes a form of control. All right. Your truth might not be somebody else's truth, so you've really got to be clear about that. And by allowing somebody else to live their truth, you're actually giving them the gift of them unlocking their own inner intelligence and their inner spirit as well, because we are, after all, here on a soulful journey. My only concern is, which is one of the trouble cards here, another problem cards appeared, that this could actually create a bit of problems for you, and I would suggest that you really let go of the idea that having your truth projected out, and this goes for anybody, because it will create distance. Naturally, you tell somebody how to do something or what to do or what you think they should be doing, and all that will eventually underestimate that person's intelligence, and that's how they'll see that you see them. All right, make a commitment for yourself to just really embrace the other person as they are, no matter how difficult, but trust that their path also will lead them to something, perhaps far more intelligent and more beautiful than you could have possibly imagined for them, because after all, they know innately what they need to do. Okay, I mean, I've had situations where I have friends tell me, and I could already hear it, nevertheless, but I'll still allow them, if you like, because it is not for me to tell them differently unless they asked, of perhaps the path that they need to go on in order to come to a point where they've learned something very, very important for them. Okay, life is a very synergistic process, so we have to allow things to reveal itself, if you like. All right, and as far as your age thing concerned, which I think I'm reading this as, that it is an old scale way of concern. We don't live in these times anymore. I wouldn't concern yourself about the ages being different, be it a man going out with a younger woman and a younger woman going out with an older man, or a really older woman going out with a super younger man. Really, and quite frankly, your son is 26 and she's 20, and I think if you really want to go with the old school ways of thinking, that is actually quite natural. I think the guy being a bit older is quite nice, and perhaps in this pathway right now, he is absolutely maybe guiding her, and will help her for whatever reason, if you think she's to mature somewhat, and that is really quite their business. All right, in the meantime, I would get on with the very ordinary details of life. Enjoy yourself. Take care of your home, beautify it, clear it up, perhaps remove all the cobwebs and all the concerns, and make a change in your home, perhaps so you can actually change your mindset, which is also another way of experiencing a change within oneself. And certainly bring the beauty in you by accessing nature here, and and perhaps find where you can access your inner child as well, and find something creative for you to do, because really it is time for you to put your old thinking and the archaic ways of education and thinking, and allow yourself to live in a way that is far more open and grounding, and particularly let go of things that don't give you any fulfillment, because I'm sure you're not feeling fulfilled by nagging at your son, and allow something by letting go of that for a space for happiness, which you'll find will come into your life. So this goes for everybody. The advice is universal. Thank you very much for listening, and I truly hope that you all benefited from this reading, or have found some Clead-on, which is basically the synchronicity of a message that you need to hear. For anybody who tends to interfere, and particularly for Mary Sutherland, that as a mother, do not concern yourself whether your son's girlfriend is too young for him. So I shall leave it here, and I will say bye for now. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. Bye.